it doesn't matter, because your body is not going to take that stimulus and have it express itself the way it expresses itself if you're still awake. So, if you value your health, and I'm assuming since you're here, you at least are telling yourself you value your health, whether you're actually telling yourself the truth or not is your business. If you value your health, you absolutely must go to sleep before 11 p.m. Unless, yes, you were working on a shift, a late shift, and then you have to do something different. But let's assume you're not doing that. And let's assume that, in fact, you can go to sleep before 11 p.m. Thank you very much for doing that. This will, at the very least, allow you to get up earlier and the earlier you go to bed, the better. Because what's important is your physical body, and your physical body was engineered to be diurnal. That means to function during the day. It is not nocturnal. If it was, we could see at night. If it was, we could echolocate like bats or do something else, but we cannot. Our job was to be awake during the day and then to find a cave somewhere that we could go into so we could not be eaten by the saber-toothed tiger or whatever. So that means we were engineered to, within about an hour and a half, or 2 hours after the sun goes down, to go to sleep. And to get up before the sun goes up so that we will be prepared for whatever we need to do during the day. This is the completely normal way of doing things. We understand you may not be able to get to sleep by 8 p.m., but at least you can make it to sleep by 11. Thank you for doing that. If you do nothing else, nothing else, make sure that you turn off your device. No, do not turn it on airplane mode. Yes, this is on airplane mode because I still want to know what time it is. Now I know what time it is. If you want to be healthy, turn off your device at least for half an hour a day. Oh my God, half an hour. Okay, half an hour is a long time. At least for 10 minutes, 3 times a day. That adds up to half an hour in case math is not one of your strong suits. A friend of mine who I met in 1974 when he was doing his MA in Sanskrit at Deccan College in Pune, and who has since more than 20 years been a professor of Sanskrit and Indian religion at the University of Iowa, and has spent a good amount of time in India, was up in Uttarakhand last year and came across a sadhu. And the sadhu was very depressed. And he said, "Sadhu Maharaj, you're very depressed. Kya hua?" And the sadhu said, "I've lost my phone." Okay. I mean, right away this made him depressed. Because if you're a sadhu, you're supposed to be dead to the world. So if you have a phone, wah wah. If you don't have a phone, fear to be wah wah. Because you should not care. But why was he, then, you know, obviously now you have to ask, why are you depressed? Because while I had my phone, every 15 minutes I could check Facebook to see what my friends were doing. What? Meaning, kya? Did I hear you correctly? So, reality came to live with this poor sadhu. The reality that जब मरने का समय आ जाएगा, तेरा फोन तो तेरे पास तो आएंगे नहीं है. Nothing will come with you. मुट्ठी बंद कर आए थे, और हाथ पसेरे जाओगे. I don't know, have any of you ever seen Baiju Bauda? How many of you seen Baiju Bauda? Okay, please go watch it. It is a great movie. It has great music in it. And it has a great story to it as well. So you come into this world in one way, but when you go, your hand is going to be open. There will be nothing going along with you. Nothing. And this is depressing because here's someone who identifies himself as a sadhu, who has also become addicted to this device. This is a very serious device. This is worse than sugar. This is worse than heroin. This is worse than tobacco, which are all very addictive things, because it offers you something more than all those things. It offers you the illusion of, well, all kinds of illusions is what it offers. And that's the world we live in. We live in a world of illusion. We live in Rahu world, because that's what Rahu is all about. Rahu is a chaya graha. Chaya means shadow, but chaya means many things. These are all shadows that we have. These are colorful shadows, they're meaningful shadows, but they're still shadows. They're still things that are only meaningful to the degree that they are causing us to interpret their meaning in a particular way. So, turn off your device at least half an hour a day. Some horrible percentage of young people in the United States sleep with their phones not next to their heads, that's bad enough, but under their pillows. So they will not miss anything. Very depressing. Turn off especially your devices at night, because many of them have blue LEDs, and blue light is very disturbing to your hormones. And I can't remember the website, but there's probably more than one, but your computer screen at night also needs to change its color so that you're not getting blue light at night. You can download something free. I did it. I can't remember the name of it. So that the screen will be a warmer, less blue color, so it will not be damaging. Sometimes even eye damage occurs from this. So there are all kinds of things that we're being damaged in all sorts of ways we have no clue about, because we have no clue about it. So you need to be looking at all the different possible things that you're doing and asking yourself, is this thing benefiting me? Is it not benefiting me? And if it's not benefiting me, how can I minimize it? And once you have looked at all these things that you're doing and got rid of the things, or at least minimize the things that you shouldn't be doing, you need to establish a niyama. Start off with one niyama. Don't do things that are complicated. Start off with one thing that you're going to do every day at the same time. It could be exercise, it could be meditate, it could be just getting up in bed and doing alternate nostril breathing for 15 minutes before you get out of bed, before you start your day. So you're programming your organism to be balanced. It may not stay balanced all day, but at least from the beginning of the day. And the beginning of the day is very much like the beginning of your life. You were dead to the world. When you woke up in the morning, it was like you had a new life. For all you know, you were dead. Okay, there might have been the odd dream, but you went to sleep and you had no clue whether you were going to wake up or not. When you wake up, the first thing, said Vimalanandaji, is you should be thankful that you're alive. Again, you have an opportunity to live an entire day, to experience whatever it is that you need to experience, to do something that potentially will be good for you and hopefully for others also. Be grateful that you're alive and be aware that you may die. It could be that day. Yudhishthira, I'm going to assume you all know who he was once having an interaction with a yaksha, and the yaksha said, King Yudhishthira, what is the most amazing thing you've seen in the world? And Yudhishthira said, the most amazing thing I've seen is that human beings see people and animals and plants dying all around them, but none of them ever believe that they too are going to die. Nobody ever believes. On the top you talk, yes, and you go to the smashan and you have what my mentor used to say was, you get a case of smashan vairagya. For a few days you feel like, really, there's nothing in life. And then after a while you realize, actually, there's sharab. Actually, There are phones. Actually, there is Chini. And pretty soon you're back in the same rut that you were in, because it was only smashan vairagya. It was not the real vairagya. So if you, every day you wake up and you say, in fact, yes, I am going to die, and it could be today. And let me live my life so I am prepared in case this is my last day. You be grateful for the fact that you're alive. You be aware that you may die, and you commit yourself to live as best you can so that you are living according to the dictates of what you know is right, what your conscience tells you is correct. This in itself is a good niyama. Maybe you want to start there. But if you start with one thing, that one thing starts to act as a focus for you. It starts to act, instead of the focus of, let me get up and drink my chai, oh, I'm looking forward to my chai. And let me say, personally, I never cared that much for chai, but lately I have become very fond of coffee. But I make it a point never to have coffee for at least 3 or 4 hours after I've got up, because I want my body to know what it's like to be awake without anything other than water. Water is good. I admit that I'm addicted to water. Frankly, all of you are too. But this is a good thing to start off the day with, because it's very easy to be dehydrated. And I was reminded just the other day of what it's like, because, of course, everything was very nice. I got to India this time about a month ago. I was in Mumbai, and the Mumbai monsoon, unless it happens to be raining really heavily, is very convenient because, yeah, it rains, but then there's clouds, and it's nice and cool, and it's humid, and it's not, the Pune monsoon is even better. I don't know if you've ever been in Pune during the monsoon, but it's extremely pleasant. And then there came that moment when there weren't that many clouds, but there was still plenty of humidity, and now the hot sun is there, the hot sun of the very end of August. And I got out that one day, and I didn't pay attention to that. And I had a very unhappy night because I allowed myself to get dehydrated. That was pretty obvious. That was an acute case of it. But many, many people nowadays are dehydrated chronically. Not enough to really know, but enough to be obvious, but enough to have it affecting you. So it's a very good way to make sure that you're going to be well hydrated, is to start off the day by drinking water, by making sure that you're getting enough water. Possibly, if you don't want to have just plain water, you add in some limbu ka ras, or you do boil it with a little bit of jeera or saunf or something like that, so it has a little flavor, something that is not a dramatic vanaspati, but that is going to have that's one of those things you can take every day if you want to. You can use sont or adrak, something that is that you can afford to be addicted to, but something that then allows your body to get comfortable being awake and active before you start adding things into it. And you'll say, well, I don't have any energy when I get up. Well, if you have the habit of immediately getting up and drinking something, you may, something with caffeine or sugar or whatever, you may not have any energy because you have trained yourself to do that. But let me assure you, if I can do it, anybody can do it. It's not that difficult. And no, I'm not just sitting, not going anywhere. Often the first thing I do when I get up is I have some water, and I go out and walk for 45 minutes or an hour. Because that's, if you get up early enough in the morning, it's nice to do that when nobody else is around. So all I'm saying is, please consider it. It's a possibility. It's possible that you don't have to immediately take things in, but you can let your system settle itself and become interested in taking things in if you give it a little bit of time, especially in the morning, because it's like being born. We should not be giving screens to 3-year-olds, And we should not be demanding that the organism do everything immediately once it gets up in the morning. It sounds very simple, it is very simple, but it is fundamental. The pattern you set for yourself in the beginning of the day is going to be the pattern that is going to predominantly affect you during the rest of the day. So, starting off the day well and eating well. Ideally, we would all eat organic food, and when I came to India originally, there was only organic food because none of the farmers had enough money to buy dawa. That's what they call fertilizers and pesticides and so on. I'm going to go put some dawa on the field. It sounds so right that way. The field is sick, and I need to go apply some medicine to it. But back at that time, nobody was applying medicine because there was no money. Automatically, you got food that was organic. Not the case nowadays. But even if you can't get organic food, at least you can eat food that is fresh. It doesn't have to be complicated. We have pressure cookers. You can put everything into the pressure cooker. We have flasks. I have a flask. You probably have a flask. You can cook your khichdi, make it not too thick, otherwise it won't come out of the flask. But it can go into the flask. The flask can go into your jhola, or your briefcase, or your whatever it is you're carrying around with you. And it can go with you wherever you're going. Me and my flask. And then once you get there, you can open the flask, you can empty it, and you can consume it. Not so complex. In Bombay, of course, we have dabbawalas. Nice system. Why aren't there any dabbawalas here? Inquiring minds want to know. But even if you don't have a dabba, tum dabbawala banjao. Carry your own food with you. Then at least you're not tempted to go to, and I'm not saying that there's not tasty food here, but it's always better to eat food that is coming from the home. Number one, you know what is actually in it, and number two, you have the benefit of the cook who we hope is somebody that's interested in you in a positive way and not trying to get rid of you, which sometimes is the case. So if you only did that, and if you only asked yourself, what kind of food is the right kind of food for me to eat? Now, there are plenty of writings on Ayurveda. I've written a bunch of things like that. You can find out about them. You can examine your own self. You can find out. But even if you don't go to a big extent like that, at least eat whole grains, at least eat vegetables. Do not put in too much masala. Do not put in too much oil. Do not put in too much salt. Find simple food, and that simple food itself will act as a medicine for the complicated world we live in. According to the principle of guna, if you have excess complications over here, other parts of your life need to be simple. That's how things balance out. The more you can simplify your life, and I can assure you that things are not going to become less complicated in the outer world. If you believe that, I would encourage you to rethink. The outer world is going to become more and more complicated. That means your life has to become more and more simple if you want to balance out those complications. That's not going to happen automatically. It is not going to happen unless you actively go to do something about it. So find ways to simplify your life. This may mean that you can't do all of the things you want to do, but let me assure you that even if you live for 500 years, you would not be able to do everything that there is to do. You are going to have to acknowledge that there are going to be hundreds of millions of things that you will not have experienced by the time you as an individual die. You may as well admit that to yourself now and relax about it, because that's the reality. And if that reality is not one that you live with, there is going to come a day when you drop dead and you will still be craving for whatever it is you're craving, and that's not going to be good for you.